Hey everyone, it's your boy Matt here. This is Tac0 Admin for 8th of October 2025. So this video is mainly intended for a description of just how shit AHPRA is. And mainly, and also to clarify that I'm not a sovereign citizen, okay? I often find that I'm working, anytime you criticize one of these government agencies and just say, hey, can you guys be slightly less shit? It's, hey, I think you're a place where shitty people like to work because it gives them an opportunity to be really mean and terrible to other people. Like, these are not controversial ideas. I don't think it would even be a controversial idea to say, hey, when people in government agencies misbehave, they should be held accountable. It doesn't, and it's not an unreasonable observation to have made, is that they don't tend to be held accountable, and it might actually be a good idea if the community does that. If we can't get the judges or the police or some other system to get the message through, we find another way. Theo was a corrupt detective who works for the Australian Health Practitioner Registration Agency. He harassed me horrifically online. I would go attend job interviews and he would interrogate me afterwards, and it was intended as an intimidation. It was not within the purview of his authority. It wasn't what he was hired to do. He was hired to ensure people complied with the AHPRA guidelines. In fact, he misbehaved so badly I had to have a conversation with one of the heads at AHPRA to get him to fuck off. And I'm not sure how successful that has been, but from the harassment I've received specifically from Theo has reduced since. So again, I'm saying again, because I need to make this clear, I'm not a sovereign citizen. Like, I believe that the state does have authority. I believe that I don't have some strange mystical ideas that the way the legislation works is such that, if they don't use the correct seal with this specific wording, it's not a real act. We've got a lot of these quacky, weird ideas among some people in Australia. People overseas, they might not be so familiar with this. There's a group of people in Australia who go under a red Australian flag. The red Australian flag was historically our shipping flag for the merchant marines. Fortunately, they co-opted that symbol. I now understand what happens when Christians get angry at gays with the rainbow. But either way, they go under this flag and they hate vaccines, and they don't want the government to ever tell them to do anything. My issue isn't with the government telling people to do things. My issue is that I've been exposed to a whole lot of corruption and misbehaviour by the government, and I've pointed out that I'd like them to do significantly better. And we need to begin prosecuting members of the Australian Army and Signals who've been involved in my mistreatment. People like Theo need to probably lose their jobs. I don't understand why he's still employed at AHPRA if he is still employed. We need to have actions taken against these horrific people. The issue is that terrible people will try and find ways to get into positions of power and authority, right? And the government is an excellent space to do that. So they'll move their way in, and then they'll end up causing all kinds of problems for everyone else. And it's not just the case that a few bad apples ruin the lot. Often the case is that the barrel itself is bad and creates bad apples. The job will both attract the bad apples, and the exposure to the bad apples makes everything else rotten. And the work itself will sometimes make people rotten. And when they behave terribly and we observe it, we insist that the government and our mechanisms take action to prosecute these people. And when the government misbehaves significantly, well, we undermine the government and we work towards to rebuilding those institutions. It's not because I dislike government. or don't appreciate government. It's the opposite. I think it's very valuable. I'm the opposite of a sovereign citizen. I want these institutions to be held to a very high standard, and I have not seen that. And the state of my life is a direct result of the misbehavior by these men and women with authority. So in conclusion, I'm not a sovereign citizen. I tend to hate the police because many of the people who are involved in policing are shit.